Immigration. The immigration reform has been delayed again, the House failing to pass a conservative bill yesterday, and the leadership postponed a vote on a more moderate version until next week. House Majority Whip Steve Scalise commenting on where his party stands in getting the votes to fix the issue.
We're going to keep working with our members. We had a very productive meeting, and you saw all the members that represent different viewpoints on immigration. And within the Republican conference, we have a wide array of viewpoints, but frankly, everybody wants to solve this problem. And I think that's what's been most encouraging. When you looked at the earlier vote today, you saw a wide range of Republicans voting yes. You didn't see one Democrat voting yes. So clearly, the Democrats don't want this issue. They want to just keep exploiting kids and other people. We want to solve this problem.
Joining us right now is House Financial Services Committee member, also a co-sponsor of that more conservative immigration bill, Congresswoman Claudia Tenney of New York. Congresswoman, it's good to see you this morning.
Good morning. Great to be on.
Are you prepared to vote on a moderate immigration bill?
Well, I'm not sure that's what's coming. We had Goodlatte 1, which I'm a co-sponsor of. We've now called it Goodlatte 1, Goodlatte 2, which is a recast of the Denham bill that was the one that was slated to be a discharge petition, which we've averted. Next week, we're going to put it off after a long conference yesterday, hearing from a wide-ranging number of views on the Republican side, and Congressman Steve Scalise accurately indicated that we had a very long conversation with many, many views, and I think it's really disappointing that the Democrats haven't come on and joined us with this. It is a very important issue, and there's some real key issues. I like to break it down a couple ways. Security is paramount. We need to secure our border. We need to keep Americans safe, and that's where the conservatives come in, and that's where the president, of course, wants the money and the funding for the wall. On the other side of immigration, there's a debate about how you get there and how we deal with the populations that are here, the so-called DACA population, and how you deal with new immigrants coming in. And I like, you know, I kind of have I'm very conservative, but at the same time, I look at this. Do we really want to have only a merit-based, and I mean merit-based on just, only bringing in engineers, lawyers, doctors, people with advanced degrees? Or do we want to bring all kinds of people in, people who want to be part of the American dream, the so-called social contract, where we actually bring in Americans who care about freedom and care about supporting the kind of government that we have, a constitutional republic? And then we need to bring people, as the Statue of Liberty says, bring us everyone, not just people who are going to be here to fill the H-2B visa jobs or whatever. We want everyone. And some good points have been made on both sides, and I would like to see us secure the border, make sure dangerous criminals aren't coming across the border, make sure our American citizens are not at risk, and make sure that we carefully deal with people who want to come here legally to live the American dream and to live up to our values and be part of what this country stands for, which is preserving freedom, preserving rights, and preserving the rule of law.
Yeah, you make a lot of good points.
Yeah, Congresswoman, I'm really curious. I saw polling out of California looking at the primaries that said, 80% of Californians wanted to see bipartisan immigration reform where there are compromise on both sides of the aisle, and that's a very left-leaning state. And yet, Democrats aren't willing to come to the table. Are there any Democrats that you know of in Congress right now who are willing to have a conversation with you to say, let's get something done because that's what the people of America want?
Well, last night I had an interesting conversation right on Fox News with Congressman Gerardi from California, who said, I want to work with you. We got off the set, and he said, let's come up with a solution, a bipartisan solution. I would love to do that. I'm conservative, but look, every bill that I put out, every bill that I've introduced and has passed the House has been a bipartisan solution. So let's come up with that. Let's stop using, as Congressman Scalise referred to, this issue to divide and to use as just a campaign piece. We are genuinely interested, and if you were sitting in Republican conference yesterday, there is genuine interest to say, what do we need to do to solve this problem? This is a major problem, and I hear that, oh, it's all just politics. Not so if you were sitting in on our debate yesterday. There were legitimate sides of the aisle, people who have legitimate concerns. They want to deal with the immigration issue, and I think we need to finally come to a conclusion on this. It's not going to be easy. It wasn't intended to be easy, but I think we're willing to do the hard work, and that's what was very evident yesterday in our conference.
Yeah, Steve Scalise said the Democrats don't want to be part of this. You mentioned your interview last night. The president just tweeted about this moments ago. Here's what he just said. Elect more Republicans in November, and we will pass the finest, fairest, and most comprehensive immigration bills anywhere in the world. Right now we have the dumbest and the worst. Dems are doing nothing but obstructing. Remember their motto, resist. Ours is produce. Your reaction to that, Congresswoman, I mean, are you really getting that kind of inaction from the other side?
Well, that's how it appears, and we don't seem to see any Democrats wanting to vote for any of the bills or any of the issues we have. We extended the olive branch yesterday, obviously with my colleague from California, and said, look, let's get together and fix this. We have some common interests. Let's come together on that side. I think the president is right, though. How horrible for a party to have, or to this party particularly, the Democrats, to cleave to some notion of resist. Shouldn't it be something more positive, like moving forward or doing something that we can do to help the American people instead of just resisting the president? The president is very open-minded. The president likes to compromise. He likes to get us all together and come up with a solution. And I look at us as, the Republicans are very diverse in our views. We are like a coalition government, and we have so many different views in one party. The Democrats seem to just be one-sided, and it is resist. It is no matter how good the solution is, no matter what we put forth, they are determined to just say no and just resist us. And, they can say we did that in the past under President Obama, but under President Obama, he got, many, many pieces of legislation passed with the Republican House and Senate. So we are out here trying to say, help us. They didn't help us with tax reform. Look how great tax reform is working. Today is the 6-month anniversary of tax reform, and it is doing so well in my district. And yet all you hear from the Democrats, I sit in the Financial Services Committee day in and day out, is how terrible tax reform is. Well, I ask all of them, come up to NY22, Central New York, and talk to the businesses. I visited 40 or 50 so far since tax reform, and ask them, how's tax reform working for you? Our lower and middle income taxpayers are loving it. Our small businesses are loving it. Our medium-sized manufacturers, all of them are telling me that's the number one thing.
We see it in the economic growth numbers. We're talking about 4% growth. I mean, look, we know that. Are you going to do a tax cut?
Can't deny it.
Are you going to do a tax cut 2.0?
I would love to see us go even deeper and even stronger with our tax cuts, even do more for our small business community. We are finally seeing some vibrancy, even in my community, which has seen unsustainable losses over the years. It has been a really great thing for us. And I was hard to get to yes on that. I know Kevin Brady, our chairman of Ways and Means, did an excellent job in compromising and helping us with the state and local tax deduction, historic tax credits, helping with child care credits, all those things. We worked with Ivanka Trump on these issues to help our small businesses, our women-owned businesses, women who work in the workplace who want to have child care, the security to know that their children will be with, safe and secure child care. There's a lot of really good things going on, and the Democrats just seem to want to just denounce everything we've done. Resist.
Well, they want to impeach the president. I mean, we know that.
Honestly, exactly. It's the impeachment caucus that they're trying to put in. But I actually think at this point with immigration, something this important, get on board with us. Make the immigration problem something that is a bipartisan solution, so they can also do as well as we're doing with tax reform. I think the opportunity is here. We have an unusual president who's willing to take risks. He's willing to make compromises. I think this is really an opportunity for them to jump on board and not. They already missed the train on tax reform.
Right. And they will have to explain that. I would expect going into the midterms why not one of them voted for the tax package.